Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Thursday, September 24th, 2020. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. In the previous session, you can see a failed new high developed right here, right at the 8-period average, and that pushed price not only back to the previous session's midpoint, but through it and below the previous session's low. That triggered another bearish outside day here. That bearish outside day down suggests more downside here today, which we're already seeing here in pre-market trading. We've seen price now push below the July FOMC key level and is currently resistance today so far. And we may see further weakness here ahead. The next area of support below 3,200 is where recent bounces have occurred. Below that level, and you start to open up levels down there into the 3136 and below. So again, right now, more weakness ahead. Ever since this blow off top here, September, been very, very bearish here. We talked about the average of down 2.2% for the month of September in an election year since the year 2000. We talked about that on day 2 of the month, and that was right on the money. You can see how bearish it's been so far. So far, you are also seeing the FOMC key level be offered as well from 916, offered straight away. At some point, you would normally see a rejection that would take you back to that level. We thought this could be the rejection here, but it really didn't develop in a way that that allowed for more upside. It failed at the high, failed at the mid, and failed at the low. Clearly more downside ahead until you find that stronger low. So right now, more weakness likely ahead. If it starts to pull back above the FOMC key level from July, the 3239s, that would suggest perhaps a pullback toward recent midpoint. So again, right now, looking to see if we can find a strong low today. The NQ, you'll see with the NQ here, we've had similar strength here off of those lows, a very good buy signal, a very nice continuation day. One thing we told the trading room at the close of this day was to watch the high, because if there's a rejection at that high, the midpoint becomes very, very important. And a failure to hold that mid would open up much more downside in an outside day down. That's what we eventually got. The midpoint was very, very important yesterday. That was the midpoint of that upside day, 11,044. So that's it right there. When it gave out that day, it really opened it up to the downside, and here we are approaching new lows here. So very significant failure of this move higher, a failure inside a bearish PIMA trigger zone, and we still have the lower FOMC key level to test here. That's the 615. So we still have a bit lower to go. And you can see right down here, we don't really have an LVN until you start getting down into the 10,400 to 10,200 zone. That's where recent support is right here, 10,393, right in that LVN. So we may need to drop into that zone before we see another bounce attempt here. So more weakness could be seen ahead, especially as long as price remains below that 845 level. All right, let's take a look now at crude oil. Crude oil is currently trading right at VPOC and right at VWAP for the day so far. It is right around where it's been trading the last few days. It attempted to push higher. It tried to get through 40.20, 40.25 yesterday and failed pretty significantly. That led to a lower high here. And one thing you want to notice here is the market structure, where you have this key level here and up here, and how price traded in here for a while. When it gave it up, it dropped hard down to this level here, rejected, and came right back to it. And now it's being rejected again with a lower high and now a midpoint retest. So the midpoint retest is at 40 even, and today's high is just above that at 40.09. So 40 is the midpoint here of yesterday's session, that rejection day. 40 even is also the FOMC key level from a few days ago. And now we're seeing a midpoint retest right at it. This appears as though it's building for a move lower, back to perhaps the original breakout point So 37.50 could be the next target below based on how this is playing out here. 40 is very important. If bears continue to defend 40 here, we could be looking at a push downward. All right, let's take a look here at gold futures. Now gold has had a major shakeout leg here that has taken out the key range low. That's very, very important. You'll notice that the key range low here hasn't been tested. This is the first time we're testing that low here. We have the high up there, so here it is. And this is the first time we've tested it yesterday. It's now made it resistance. As I've mentioned this entire time, since that key range developed, I mentioned we could build out in here for a while, and the best buy opportunity from a short, medium, and long-term perspective would be if price were to break down and trade in this zone here. So that zone being 1825 to about 1875. If we got into that zone where the LVN is, we may begin to see a significant rejection at some point, perhaps accumulation. In the 60-minute time frame right now, we're trading a very narrow range at lows, which could be seen as accumulation down here, but it'd be better if we saw some form of rejection. So if we can see rejection in this zone down here, whether it's today or any of the next several days, and then reject and close back above this low here, getting back above the 1874s would be huge, and that would suggest a bounce back to the midpoint, which is 1957.7, which is this point here, and then 1981.70 is that point there. So returning the value, and then perhaps even long term seeing a further upside breakout. So right now this is a significant shakedown here. Now if this were to remain bearish, then in that case we would bounce and fail to hold and then start another leg lower that could get us back as low as, say, the 1732s, which is right around that HVN below. So again, doesn't necessarily have to go higher, but if you're someone that's bullish gold and metals right now as a defensive market here, trapping below the key range low would be a great opportunity if it shows rejection. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this develops heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.